Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your Bitcoin show. Well, we got a lot to talk about this morning. I'm going to get the charts started right away. Okay, let's open them up right here and take a look at what we got going on. Well, Warren Buffett, he's still at it. He's talking about Bitcoin, and he's saying it's delusional. In other words, it's a figment of your imagination. It's not real. It's something that's created from nothing. Well, Bitcoin is created by computer. And we all know this, And, people that grew up before our computer age that we're having right now, they didn't have to deal with computers. I was one of those people, actually. I didn't get my first computer until after the year 2000. And most of my life growing up, didn't have computers to work with, didn't have the internet. When I first got my first computer, it was a tickety, 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 tickety. You could hear the hard drive going. I think it was like 400 megahertz. It was a Pentium 1, and the first thing I did was tear it all to pieces and put it back together again. Tear it all apart again, put it back together again. It wouldn't function good. It took ages to open up an email page. Now, my internet back then was a 56K phone modem, and you used to have to, I think, enter in a phone number into it to get it started and stuff. It was a long, lengthy process to get the internet started. And when the internet come up, just to load a picture on there would have been fantastic, and you could hear the hard drive clicking away, clickety-click, click, 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 click inside the computer. Really. Okay, and that's just a few years ago. But look how far we've come. Then I started building computers, And I always had to build the latest, newest. I'd go down into town to the computer shop where they sold the parts, and I was always scavenging on the parts, and trying to build the fastest computer that I could build. I built dozens of them over a period of time, and I got right into building them, and most of them were desktops. But I was always having the fastest one available, And I kept up with that to the point where I finally got a computer that I'm satisfied with. And I still build a computer once in a while, But it was like an addiction for me to build the latest, newest, fastest computer. And I really enjoyed this. But Warren Buffett, he says Bitcoin is a delusion. Well, remember back when video games used to be nothing more than Pong? Does any of you guys remember Pong? It was a little white thing that go, and you did a little paddle, and you go ping, and then it'll go over and go ping on the other paddle, and then ping on the other paddle. That was what computer games were. Well, I still play computer games, and I'm up on the latest technology in the computer games. Computer game technology is becoming more and more so that the environment, especially these player games where people can go online and play with their friends and stuff. The latest, most popular one right now is Fortnite. And no, I don't play Fortnite. I'm not really interested in Fortnite. But these computer games now can generate environments that are so immense inside the computer game that it's almost as immense as the universe that we're living in now. And just as immersive. There's several of them that are like space games. And they've got planets, and you can go down to the planet, and you can walk around on the planet, and, you could just spend a lifetime searching one planet that the computer has generated inside a computer game. But one of them out there has a galaxy that is so immense, so big, and so many planets you can explore and everything else, that if a friend of yours were to go online and play the same game, you would never meet up with them in your entire lifetime inside the game world. So we've come from Pong, which is a game was just ping, 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 to games that are so immersive and so immense that the computer is generating something that your brain could not fathom within your entire lifetime. In 20 years, we've made that kind of advancement. And so there's thinkers out there, people that open their mind and don't have a closed mind, but have an open mind. One of the men that is a thinker and has an open mind is Elon Musk. And this is how this man has made his fortune. He's made his fortune because he thinks out of the box. And, you know, Warren Buffett, he is growing up in a generation that actually quite literally hates computers. Now, I didn't hate computers. I accepted the new technology. And in fact, the first thing I did was explored into the guts of the new technology and learned how to build computers for myself. Nobody taught me how to build computers. I just tore that first computer apart that I had and found out how it was put together. And then I started buying and building more, and it became an addiction for me. But I'm up on the latest tech as far as computers are concerned. The latest, if a latest hard drive comes out or a newest CPU comes out or whatever, I'm on it. I have to know about it and what it's capable of doing. But I'm going to tell you what. It says billionaire investor Warren Buffett has branded Bitcoin, the world's most popular cryptocurrency, a delusion that attracts scammers. Well, there's something to all of this. And we're going to go here and we're going to take a look at the Egyptian god Thoth. You know, I'm going to tell you, the Egyptians, you know, they had technology. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys and say that, but there's so many signs that the Egyptians had a technological advancement that was beyond what people could imagine. Around the big pyramids, there's rocks and stuff laying around on the ground that have been machine cut. And it looks like some of them have been cut by laser. On the walls and the pyramids and stuff, there are hieroglyphs and stuff of advanced technology that we don't understand today. And they had a god called Thoth. And I believe it's where our modern word thought came from. And what they realized, what the ancient Egyptians realized was that this world that we're in, through their religion, they realized things about this world that we don't understand today. And going back before the Egyptians, there was pre-Egyptian cultures. There was the Sumerian civilization, which branched off to become the Egyptian civilization, to become the Babylonian civilization, and to become the Assyrian civilization. All of these civilizations pretty much existed, and they coexisted together in the Babylonian, Assyrian, and Egyptian civilization. But before it was a pre-civilization that I refer to as the pre-Babylonian culture. This is what I call it. And it's very, very old. And it goes back to a language called Akkadian, and also a language that's related closely to it called I believe it's called Sanskrit. Anyway, it's very old. It goes back to an area somewhere in the Persian Gulf that's closer to India, and it's the earliest civilization. Anyway, enough talk about the civilizations. Here's the god Thoth, the god of in the ancient Egyptians who was let me see, let's pull up this photo here. Thoth, Hermes, and Mercury. This god, and if you notice what Mercury's got in his hand here, he's carrying a symbol that with two snakes entwined around a pole. This is a symbol of medicine that you'll find in the hospitals today. So an awful lot of our symbolism today in our modern culture comes from these ancient civilizations, and we don't even realize it. But here is Elon Musk, and what I'm getting at is, in this conversation he's having right here with Elon Musk, he talks about how the games have advanced. And okay, so there's little clips of it here. I could run it for a second or two, you know.
And it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. And it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. Just indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So, so given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would.
Okay, let's stop him there.
The odds that we're in
I don't
base
think a
reality
lot
is
of people
1 in
know what
billions.
he means when he says the odds we are in base reality is 1 in billions. When he's referring to base reality, he's referring to the reality that's the beginning reality that creates the first virtual reality, and then inside those virtual realities, they can create virtual realities, which in turn can create virtual realities within virtual realities. All by computer, all augmented by computer. So base reality would be the original. In other words, the beginning. Now, if we go back to people like the inventor of, and I'm saying the inventor of the theory of evolution, 1850, Darwin come up with his theory. And the reason why he came up with the theory of evolution was we were looking for answers. We all asked the question, why are we here? Where do we come from? And so Darwin was coming up with a solution that was suitable for the year 1850. And an awful lot of people bought into that because it sounded very reasonable. The scientific community still is a hierarchy that is still embedded in this theory from the 1850s. They can't get over it. It's overwhelmed them. And they believe that everything came about from nothing. From a big bang, as you would say, that something comes from nothing. Well, it's simple to me in my mind. If you were to take an empty box and take all the components for a television and throw them in the empty box, if a guy wanted a TV, and if he shook that empty box, would it produce a television? Would all those components come together to produce a television? Well, let's just say that that was our theory, that the components could come together to produce a television. And say we shook the empty box for 10 minutes and nothing happened. Well, maybe we could make it or rationalize it to be a reality if we shook the empty box for 1 million years or 10 million years. And this is basically the theory of evolution believes that a cell comes together. A cell is much more complex than a television. So they can't see it happening immediately. So they say, well, it took millions of years, billions of years for this to happen through the process of natural selection. This theory worked good back in the 1800s. But today we need something more rational. And Elon Musk is coming up with something more rational, and what he's calling base reality is the real world, the real reality. And what Elon Musk goes on to say here is the odds that we are living in base reality, in real reality, is 1 in billions. He's basically putting forth the argument that this reality that we're in is actually augmented or not real. He believes that some other advanced civilization has actually beat us to the punch of creating a reality inside a computer. This is basically what he's saying right here. And he's a great thinker. Myself, I see things like here is a picture of CERN. Now, if you look at the bottom of the picture, what do you see? You see a man standing there. That's a man down there at the bottom. Do you see how big this machine is? The machine overwhelms the entire picture. The man is that little tiny dot down in the center of the bottom. This is a big machine. CERN is. And what are they trying to do? They're taking atoms and they're breaking them into their smallest components and studying how the atom is put together. And the reason why is because, now, maybe I'm moving fast for you guys, but the atom is a binary code. They are smashing apart a binary code, but it's not our binary code. Now, you might ask yourself, What is a binary code? Some of you guys are into computers. You know what a binary code is. But for you guys that are not into computers, I'm going to tell you what a binary code is. A binary code is what the computer sees. When the computer displays a picture on the screen that you guys are used to, that is what the computer is encoding from the binary code. The binary code is ones and zeros, strings of ones and zeros. So you got two parts to the binary code, and that's what the computer sees. That's what your central processing unit inside your computer decodes. Now, you guys, some of you out there have slow computers, and you say, oh, my computer's slow. That's because you probably got a single core processor inside your computer, and it's one of the older computers, and it's able to process that binary code quite slowly, so you have to wait for it. You have to wait while the loading screen on your computer. Now, my computer, you know, I got like 8 cores inside the thing, you know, and they're all flying along, you know, and I mean, zip, 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 and I click the button and I don't have to wait because, bang, it's on there, you know, and I mean, this is, the computer is using all 8 of those cores to process the binary code. Well, here's the thing. They're trying to smash apart a binary code with this machine to study it because it's a much more complex binary code. And the one particle that they're looking for within that binary code is a particle they call the God particle. And the reason why they call it the God particle is it's the code. If they can smash it, they can actually recreate reality inside our computers. Our next generation computers, which are called quantum computers, will be able to regenerate the physical reality that we live in now inside a computer. The next step is learning how to get our mind inside that computer, because you're not going to be able to operate it with a mouse or a keyboard anymore. Right now, we interact or interface with our computers through a mouse and a keyboard. You know? How do you interface with a computer that becomes this much more complex so that it's able to artificially create a reality inside the computer? How do you get inside that reality? Because if you're out here in this reality, you're not going to be able to see what's going on inside the computer reality without an interface. Okay, so let's move on a little bit right here. IBM stores 1 bit of data on a single atom, showing how small storage can become. This also should prove to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the atom is a binary code capable of storing information. Here's the scientist working on the project, right? Our top scientists today are starting to realize that this physical reality that we are living in is actually made from something called atoms, and that atoms are actually computer code. Not ones and zeros strung together, but more numbers, a more complex code that they're actually trying to break. And so now, when we realize this, we suddenly realize that the whole environment that we live in is delusional. It's all computer. It's all computer code. It's all strung together. There's a reason why they call it the God particle. Because there's a mind behind all of this. There's a creator. So what we do is we move so far forward, and then all of a sudden we have to go back to the ancients and the knowledge that they had, knowledge that was written in the Bible, knowledge that was written in other places in ancient texts and scripts where the ancients understood more than we do today about all of this. And they've encoded this information. In fact, it's a great research into these things. But things like the theory of evolution, it was a good explanation in 1850, but it doesn't really make sense today. So now let's go back to Warren Buffett, you know. He's stuck in the last generation. He sees Bitcoin as delusional because it's something that's on a computer. But when you come to realize that our whole environment we live in is probably on a computer, then nothing, our paper money, what is it? It's created from atoms or a binary code. Again, it's delusional. The fiat currency system that we use today, again, delusional. Everything is delusional. So why can't something that's delusional become our store of value into the future? You have to open your mind like Elon Musk, rather than keeping a closed mind that's set in the previous generation, or a generation even before that. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.